Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host Gyro, and today we're looking at another beginner-friendly build guide for Path of Exile 3.14 Ultimatum League. This time we're going to be looking at Ice Nova Templar. Before we jump right into the guide, and especially if you're new here, please spare literally a minute and let me tell you what makes my guides different from the others and why you might want to watch this one and subscribe for more. My guides are made for beginners of Path of Exile, like actual beginners, not all those allegedly beginner-friendly build guides produced by the creators who sadly forgot what it's like to start this game and who bombard you with high-end details that make no sense to most of you and that you don't really need right now. My guides teach you real basics and are designed in such a way that by the time the path that I offer you runs out, you'll know enough about the game and chosen direction to keep going on your own or dig deeper elsewhere in those other expert-made guides maybe. My guides include path of building POE links in the descriptions of the videos that allow you to copy my builds properly, usually capturing only the starting vector or direction of the passive skill tree and most important skill gem clusters. I don't outline every little detail or piece of gear because none of that matters for real starters and real beginners. So with all of that out of the way, let's talk about the playstyle and general overview of this particular build. This build is based around two key skills, Frostbolt and Ice Nova. In a nutshell, Frostbolt is a vehicle that gets Ice Novas to the target, and rapidly repeating Ice Novas then bring the real pain and usually frozen death for your opponents. In case you didn't know, the very basic Frostbolt skill that you'll get in early leveling is a slow traveling orb that goes through the enemies while doing cold damage. If you aim your mouse in the direction and around where your Frostbolt orbs are and then hit the Ice Nova button, it will explode around the orb instead of the default position around your character. Everything else in this build is revolving around the following things. First, shoot as many frost bolts with one key press as possible. Your support skills, passive skills, jewels you insert into the passive skill tree sockets, and some gear will help you with that. Second, you need to maximize your elemental and specifically cold damage, cast speed, and critical chance. Third, you will support both the Frostbolt and Ice Nova in their gem clusters with Spell Echo support, a gem that you'll get from a quest in Act 4 Highgate. Or if you're lucky enough to get your hands on a Reverberation Rod unique wand, then you'd be able to start having fun around level 24, which appears to be the minimal level I've gotten 2 Reverberation Rod drops during my playtime. And later on you will maximize your build potential with Hex Touch support that will apply extra cold vulnerability curse on your enemies, which will make their short lives even more miserable. Main gems and skills. First group of gems revolves around Frostbolt, the main damage dealing skill that, as I said already, serves as a vehicle for your Ice Novas to travel across the screen. Spell Echo support will repeat it and increase its speed cast drastically. Arcane Surge is absolutely critical for mana conservation, increased damage and cast speed, as well as massive defensive contribution that we will get from Ascendancy, and we will talk about that very soon. Lesser multiple projectiles or greater multiple projectiles support gems will allow you to cast more Frost Bolts, bringing more Ice Novas to our enemies, and we definitely want that. Second group of gems is all about Ice Nova, our main damaging skill of this build. You will be leveling with Frostbolt until about level 12, and then you'll get Ice Nova, and your life will improve dramatically as soon as that happens. As I've already explained, aim your mouse at your Frostbolt orbs and press and hold Ice Nova key to blast everything on the way of your Frostbolt as it travels through the mobs. In my build, Ice Nova is also supported by Spell Echo, hence the word Echo in the build name, making it repeat itself and cast faster and more often, which is a great thing. Increased area of effect support obviously increases the area my Ice Novas are covering, and Deadly Ailment support does more damage with cold and chills the enemies. If I had a 6-socket weapon or body armor, I'd recommend for you to add 2 more gems to this group: Hex Touch support, that triggers curses, and Frostbite, which will then curse the enemies your Ice Novas hits, reducing their resistance to cold and increasing their chance to freeze by quite a lot. For traveling around, I highly recommend Flame Dash. It has 3 charges, it recharges quite quickly and helps you get out of dodge quicker and more frequently than any other teleport skill in the game in my experience. As the main defensive skill, I personally use Steel Skin, and being a casual player, I haven't bothered supporting it properly by anything just yet, but this could be your homework. I've also been playing with Frost Shield, which is not bad against projectiles, but is kind of underwhelming most of the time, and I generally either dash out of enemy's reach or use Steel Skin. Other notable skills that aren't part of this setup but could be, as soon as I get more gem sockets on my gear, are Decoy Totem, to keep tougher straggler mobs occupied, and Enduring Cry, as an instant way to heal yourself if you are in real trouble and your flasks have no charges left. I'm also using an aura that helps me regenerate mana, especially useful in the early game, but in the end game I kind of don't rely on that too much. And you also might want to use Flesh and Stone aura, which allows you to enter a sand stance, that is the stance you'll be in most of the time, to increase the area of effect of your skills and at the same time reduce the amount of damage that you will be receiving because close enemies will be blinded. My beginner-friendly setup is very basic at this early endgame stage, relying on a healthy supply of life flasks. And then I have only 1 mana flask because my mana regen is sufficient to have only 1, and sulfur flask to give me that extra damage burst on bosses when I need it. Speaking of gear, none of the gear is critical to make this build work particularly, which makes it beginner friendly and virtually free, aka you don't need to try and research how to buy anything from other community members, so don't worry about it. What helps though are pieces like Ondas Clasp gloves that increase attack speed when I'm on full life, Chevron's Pace boots that make me move much faster when I'm on full life once again, Rime Gaze helmet that increases my cold damage by a lot, and a couple of other items that I have here that ultimately all are either increasing my mana pool or cast speed and mana regeneration. One more item to mention here, which is not a piece of gear per se, but it is a very notable jewel for your passive tree. You will get it mid-game as a quest reward, so don't miss it out. It's called Frozen Trail. It increases speed and damage of my frost bolts and fires 2 extra frost bolts as well, which is a massive contribution to our damage and area of effect coverage, and that is what we're generally after for map clearing primarily. Now let's quickly talk about passive skills. You start as a Templar and generally go for increases of elemental damage, mana and life pools, regeneration and critical chance. My weapon of choice for the end game with this build is a staff, mainly due to the potential of having 6 sockets with it. No, I don't have one yet for this build, but I remain very hopeful. As I already mentioned, I had Reverberation Rod, unique wand at my disposal, so I actually leveled for quite a while with it, not investing into any damage boost with staves at all. Passive skills tree is best viewed by clicking a POE Path of Building link in the description of this video, keeping in mind the disclaimer that I offered you earlier, explaining that it's just a start of your PoE journey as a presumed beginner player, offering you everything that you need to know and that's required to make this build work. Path of Building interface also offers you a selection of various stages of your leveling progress, highlighting the skills that I take at different times of the game, so make sure that you use that selector and it will help you build your character much better during your playtime. Now let's talk about Ascendancy. Ascendancy in Path of Exile is a labyrinth that you need to unlock while leveling through the campaign and visiting different areas of the game. Once unlocked, you can run a labyrinth at level 33, then 55, then 68 and a few more times. Each time you run it, you get 2 points to spend on an expansion of your passive skill tree. That in this case, in this particular build, will boost your performance actually quite massively. For this Ice Nova Templar, we'll go with Hierophant or however you want to pronounce this funny word. And during your first Ascendancy at level 33, you will go for Arcane Blessing. And during the second level 55 run of the Ascendancy Labyrinth, we'll get to Illuminated Devotion. That will make us super tough during Arcane Surge support procs, which, spoiler alert, will be proccing all the time as you keep casting your Frost Bolts. As you and I both push this build higher, I would go for mana and energy shield increases with Divine Guidance and Sanctuary of Thought, branches of the Ascendancy tree. Now let's talk about pros and cons of this build, as every build has them. Main pro of this build is the map clear speed, potency and fun of the process, where everything freezes and only the toughest, rare and unique mobs can ever get close to you. This is when you flame dash away and keep hammering them with your Ice Novas and Frost Bolts. In one of my previous videos I've looked at a Deadeye Ranger class, which is quite fun but very squishy build. Admittedly, it was unfinished at the moment of recording of that video, and I said that I think it was the best map clearer that I've seen in Path of Exile. Well, I stand very much corrected, my friends, as this Ice Nova Echo Templar blows it completely out of the water in both the map clear speed and personal survivability in the process. As far as the cons are concerned, there are not that many that I've seen so far, at least at this stage of early end game. I would say your general cons are around bosses, around fighting the bosses. It is a much more potent build than the already mentioned Deadeye Ranger. You certainly have survivability, you certainly need to remain mobile and use Flame Dash quite a lot, and you need to rely on your defensive skill, which in my case is Steel Skin. But at the same time, you should be able to wear down bosses and kill them much faster than my Ice Crash Juggernaut was able to, or Deadeye Ranger, or pretty much any other class other than maybe my summoner, my Necro Witch, my laser summoner build, that the one that you can also find link to in the description to this video. And this is it for today, my friends. I tried to make it really concise and really scripted as a guide this time around for you. Please bother to leave a comment in the comments down below and let me know if this format worked better for you, if it was easier for you to follow. Also, Path of Building link is there for you as well to check out the build much closer, so I don't have to waste your time here talking to you for too long in this video, and you can just get straight to the source of the information. I hope you enjoyed this. If this is your cup of tea, if you like this kind of guides, first of all, let me know. Second of all, please like the video, it's much appreciated, and subscribe to the channel for more similar videos. More guides, more stuff like this is coming your way, because it's a lot of fun for me to experiment with different builds in Path of Exile, and there are a lot more other builds that I'd like to try and talk to you, my friends, about. Talk to you next time. Thanks very much for tuning in. I'll be speaking with you very soon. See you later. Bye bye.